Hey, Hound Dogs, I'm David Hankins.
I'm Paul Hankins. I'm Trevor Hankins.
I'm Julia Canon. And I'm Rachel Wells.
And you're on the air with Power Squared. This week is our comic book club. I think it's number 12.
Yes.
And we're doing Bone by Jeff Smith.
Hey.
Not the whole
Hell
book,
yeah.
because it's really thick, but the first...
Is she thick?
But the first book, I guess, really?
Yeah.
We're doing? No, okay. So, Jen...
Book one out from Boneville.
Okay, Jen Moreno, who would normally be here, is sick, under the weather, so we're gonna have to wish her well.
Feel better, Jen.
So, Trevor, this was your book,
Yes.
your pick, I should say. What made you pick Bone? What got you interested in Bone, I should say?
I had been aware of it for a while, kind of, and I'd been I had always been a little curious.
Mm-hmm.
Then I forget when, but a few years ago at Comic-Con, when I saw cartoon books at a booth there, and they were selling this book, I decided to take the plunge.
Okay. And you got Jeff Smith to sign that?
Yes.
Was that the same time?
Oh, that's so rad.
Or was it years later?
He signed
Hey.
he signed it before I read it.
But did he sign it when you bought it, or did you have to take it?
He was signing at another booth.
Okay.
Thing.
All right.
Yeah.
So
I think it was at IDW. He did a cover for a DuckTales comic.
So
He's like...
you want to tell us kind of briefly what Bone
Is that about?
is about?
I hadn't had to think about this. Essentially, it's about these three cousins.
Mm-hmm.
Phone Bone, Phony Bone, and Smiley Bone. They are the story starts with them having gotten kicked out of their hometown of Boneville.
Right.
After something phony did. And they
Sounds like Phony got canceled.
and the Bone cousins sort of end up in a epic high fantasy adventure.
Right. Okay. That's a good way of putting it.
I actually remember Jeff Smith explaining how he came up with the idea for Bone. Right. Because he was basically Jeff Smith was a huge fan of the Duck comics. Yes. By Carl Barks and Don Rosa. Yes. And he liked reading The Adventures of Scrooge McDuck as a kid, and there was Bone was basically the Scrooge book he wished he could have read. Yes.
You know, I was just reading about that on Wikipedia, too. He basically wanted to have Scrooge McDuck go on a sort of Lord of the Rings style adventure, which I think is just genius.
Yeah, he was a fan of Tolkien. It was basically the Scrooge McDuck comic he always wanted.
That's why I remember that from. You watched The Creator or something?
Yeah, the cartoonist.
The cartoonist. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which we have, and he also signed.
Hey, let's go.
The advantage of physical media. So, what did we all think of Bone?
Well, Bone has been a fixture in my life for a long time. I got the first book in the 4th grade, and I instantly fell in love with it. I remember viciously waiting for all the books to release on Amazon so that I could get them. I
Viciously?
loved those books. Yes, I was a vicious 10-year-old.
10-year-old.
And then when I realized in college they were selling like a big compendium of all 9 volumes, I was like, holy effing
Yeah.
S.
Yeah, we don't have as much cursing on the show when you're not on.
It's okay, I meet the quota for you. No, I'm kidding.
Thanks. But I love Bone. I just think it's something I studied a lot in college, actually, going to college for comics. Because I think it's just it's a classic. It really is a classic, even though, I mean, I guess it's kind of old at this point. It started serializing in 1991, so, but, I feel like it's a classic at this point because it has such a recognizable style, and it has such a fascinating story where, like, these dinky little cartoon characters are in a big, sweeping, high fantasy adventure. It's just so memorable, and you can't put it down either. I read the whole first volume in 2 days. I probably could have done it in 1, but I was sleepy.
All right. Julia?
Oh, sorry, Zona for a second. I forgot what I was gonna say. I'm so sorry. Like I liked about it had like a good sense of like seriousness, and then once you think like something's about to really hit the fan, because there are parts of the story where I really think like when I think like someone was about to like die or something, it starts like I can't just say it, but like sometimes I like the gags that are put in once there's like a serious part of the story. Like there was like some parts where like the rats or something, they're about to get one of the cousins, and then they're just like, oh, time to hit a gag. Hey, what's that over there? Or like for some reason they start to have a fight. I'm just like, this is funny, but what the I'm just like,
It's kind of slapstick. It feels a little bit like Looney Tunes at times.
yeah, but they
Makes
don't
it
do
charming.
but they don't do it too much to a point where it gets repetitive. So like in terms of timing when they do it, it's like it's nicely done.
Yeah.
It gets more serious. I mean, I'm still reading past. I mean, I don't know what book I'm in now, but it gets more serious as you get into it. I mean, the story gets more serious.
I believe it looks like one of those stories where like in the very beginning, of course, there's going to be a bit more slapstick, so it's not going to be as like say gruesome or maybe not as dark as what the story is going to be, because like obviously you want to have like the people come in for it. So like after I read book 1, I'm just like looking at it going, wait, what exactly is going on here? Like, yeah, we got our main goal of like we have all 3 of them now, but like what exactly is going on? What the heck did like Phony do for them to be like in this? I know, like what like because like by the end of book 1, I'm just like, oh no, wait, dude, what'd you do?
Phony is just a real scam artist, or whatever you want to put down. How do you want to call it?
Yes. Yeah.
I will say though, when I was reading it, I had like this bit of a shower thought going like, wait, is this where like Ed, and Eddie got their inspiration for their last movie?
Oh my god. That's a funny little mirror, isn't it?
Like I was just thinking about like, wait a second, like
I'm not
Like the
familiar
Three
with the other
Stooges.
movies.
Yeah.
I guess it's mainly
I
like
know
the
you
influence
are.
of the Three Stooges, right?
Yeah. Because like someone did something to like put the other 2 in a bad situation. I'm just like, wait a second.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
Isn't that kind of what happens with trios?
Yeah. Excuse me.
I'm sure with triplets, there's probably always one getting the other ones in trouble.
One thing that's interesting with Jeff Smith's art is that I learned this through a cartoonist. He or learned more about it through the cartoonist. He at one point did animation work, like independent studio. It was called Character Builders. Yeah, they helped do some work that some studios weren't able to.
Okay.
Or they were out, so they got some work outsourced to them.
Right.
Like they did some work on Space Jam.
Okay.
The original Space Jam. No.
Oh.
Anyway, and so through that through that experience he learned how to like keep a character on model, and I think that shows in Bone, which makes some of the gags funnier.
It's true. You can really tell reading this that you can see he wears the animation influence on his sleeve. Like, this comic just kind of screams Disney. It's kind of funny. I read Bone as a kid, and then in comic school I learned about the comic Pogo, which I don't know if any of y'all have heard of Pogo.
I think in some ways the character reminds me of the Pogo character.
Yeah, like I saw it and I was like, holy, that's just Bone. That's just Bone.
Yeah. It's
Especially because it's all in a forest.
It's more political, I think, actually.
He took some visual influence from Pogo.
Right, I think he mentions that in the documentary.
Yes.
And also, honestly, Bone I feel like has influenced a lot of my art, especially in the black spotting, because and by black spotting I mean just the parts that are just plain black.
Yeah.
And I just think it's so strong, especially when like you combine like the simple character designs, like cartoony characters, with a very kind of complex background, like the mountains and the forest. But then the black helps it bring it all together into a strong composition. That was definitely very influential in my own work.
It's very detailed.
Yes.
Without being overly so, but you really get a sense of the landscape and the surroundings.
Yeah.
There's a term for that where you have a very simple character but a very complex background. I can't remember the term, but it's used a lot in animation, especially anime. I think just because, it's easy to make a big complex background, not so easy to make complex animated characters.
Oh, like when all like the buildings and everything are like fully rendered, and then when you see the cell shading of like everyone else.
Yeah, that might be just like little blobs or something.
I don't know the term either. So, does anybody have a favorite character?
I like Smiley. He's just off in his own world. Like, I love him. Like, nothing bad happens to this one. It's okay. Please.
He's one of those people that seems to kind
He's
of walk
fun.
through life and not really engage.
Yeah.
He's got a positive outlook.
Yes.
And he's sort of...
My favorite is Grandma Ben, obviously. He kicks ass.
She's
why-
the grandma everyone aspires to
You
be.
cannot beat a grandma that kicks ass.
and raises cows, yeah.
Yeah, racing cows.
Let's go.
Yeah, very,
Oh,
very
God.
character. Do you have a favorite?
I haven't really thought about that.
I
haven't thought about it much either.
I actually like Thorn.
They exist.
Because she's got a very interesting sort of backstory. She's actually more, you can see why he'd be attracted to her, but she's it's a different, it was like different species.
Yeah.
But she's very nice to him and takes him in Phone Bone when nobody else would have, or he was kind of on his own.
Yeah.
And obviously she becomes more of a central character throughout the story. But I like reading about her.
Right.
Yeah, Thorn's pretty great.
Now, do you have a least favorite character?
I mean, it's gotta be phony, right? He's scum.
I'm just like, dude, this old lady's letting you stay here. Just do the dang chores.
They make him to be unlikable, really.
Yeah, very unlikable.
Which makes me like scared because this always happens to me. Like every time I find a character and I hate them to high heaven, and then when you read more, you're just like, oh, okay, wait, okay.
He never gets better.
Okay, then I feel assured.
He's always, screwing somebody out of something or trying to.
He never gets better, which just goes to show the importance of regulating capitalism.
Oh my god.
Okay, I think you're going a little too far. But
Okay, Ed. Sorry, what another reference?
What was it? I feel like we talked about our favorite character, our least favorite, but most mid character is the dragon. Cause like I do love the dragon that he's like he protects our favorite characters, but like his like human chest and his human arms really disturb me. Whenever he appears, I'm like, no, I don't like your body. It's weird.
I kind of like, I think it's Lucius, isn't he the bartender kind of guy?
Yeah.
I mean, he's, he's obviously has his own little past, but he seems to be sort of a genuine person trying to do what is best for not just himself, but for everybody. And I think he gets kind of, again, screwed over by Phony, but, which I'm always amazed that Phony manages to get everybody to believe him over and over and over.
Well, these are like medieval people, so to speak. They're probably not used to someone like Phony that just wants to scam them.
Do you think if you get burned 3 or 4 times, you'd stop listening to the guy?
I believe there's a term for that. I think it's insanity, right?
The thing is, he speaks confidently.
As most con men do.
Yeah. I guess that's when they tell you like charisma is one of the most important things you need in life. And he's got it apparently.
So, you guys have any characters you want to talk about, or?
I remember my name, by the way.
I guess there's a character that shows up later.
Okay.
I also like Bartleby.
Bartleby, yeah. And then we're getting. I think he shows up in like a later book.
Yes.
But yeah, he's sort of. It's. This is going to age me. It's a little bit like McHale's Navy. They had a Japanese prisoner of war that was kind of was a buddy of theirs, and would you guys have seen 1 or 2 of those shows,
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like that. He's kind of like the enemy, but he's a nice guy. And he actually comes to their rescue more than once. So. But it's way later. I'm at book 1.
Yeah, I have not read past book 1. So.
But he's an interesting character.
Yes.
And of course, Smiley becomes kind of enamored with him and stuff. So best buds. But later.
I just don't remember much of the other books. I probably have to go back and reread it. I remember book 1 so vividly because more recently in college I used the first, I want to say 3 pages as a coloring exercise. In our coloring class, we were made to choose some comic pages to color. And so I chose Bone because like it is so easy to color. Like when you take it into Photoshop and like
Set the
change the
multiplier.
values. Yeah, it's so easy to color.
So what color did you make Bone?
I'll give you one good guess.
I'm guessing white, but
You got it.
yeah.
You got it.
Pick a different color.
That was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun coloring those. I might even still have them, although I'm not going to show anyone.
Right.
But
Come on.
I remember I was just reading those first few pages like, wow, it's all coming back to me.
The first, I wanted to mention the first 2 books were probably know of Telltale Games. One of their earliest games was like they adapted the first 2 books of Bone. I was able to buy them on Steam before they got delisted after the company like went under.
Oh no.
They kind of take a few I guess a couple liberties here and there, but it's still a pretty faithful adaptation. I actually recently asked Jeff Smith at a previous Comic-Con, like, why they didn't make any more, and the explanation he gave me was that it was creative differences.
Okay.
Of course.
I know.
You didn't like those little tweaks they were making.
He had his own ideas of how he wanted it to be done. They had their own ideas of how it wanted to be done. They couldn't come to an agreement, so they decided to just stop.
Okay, well, that's what happened.
At least that got further than every other attempt in an adaptation.
Yeah, this hasn't been adapted for film or TV, has it?
No, was going to be adapted to film like twice, and then third time as a series for Netflix, and all 3 times it just didn't happen.
I was gonna say, they said it was canceled during restructuring of the animation department.
Yes.
But apparently Jeff Smith is still working to get it done. I would love to see a series.
He after that, Jeff Smith he drew something that was sort of like venting his frustration with trying to get Bone adapted.
So I'm scanning through the Wikipedia article because I like to research these books when we talk about them. Apparently, a parent in Minnesota sought to ban the book, citing references to smoking, drinking, and gambling.
Oh my God.
What?
Do people do those things?
I mean,
it's a scary world out there.
I'm not gonna leave my house now that I know this.
oh god.
Smoking and gambling and drinking.
I'm pretty sure that mother will still let their children see Pinocchio. So.
Yeah, it's kind of where do you draw the line?
It's like you let your kid watch Pinocchio. Have you seen that?
Hey, wait, there's drinking, smoking, and gambling in Pinocchio too.
I was gonna ask, is there anything else related to Bone you wanted to talk about? Yes, I have I liked Bone enough that I have read. I've looked at just about all the ancillary media.
Okay, what else you got over there? On the table of truth.
Let's see. There's Bone Coda, which includes an epilogue chapter.
Ooh.
And also has a Bone companion.
Okay.
He signed
Wasn't
this
there a
one
series?
as well.
Aww.
Hey.
Wasn't there a series about Grandma Ben? Spin-offs.
There was a prequel comic called Rose.
Yes. I've been meaning to read that. I just haven't yet.
You signed that too?
Yes. You signed that one too.
I will say though, with Bone, sorry.
No, we're just
Hey.
talking.
That's fine.
Oh, yeah, very good. It's like I will say though, the one thing I like with Bone is like the charm of like you have like this quick doodle of like Phone, and then just like the realism of like Thorn.
Yeah.
And like one thing I always like with these types of comics is like I don't want to say they're two different art styles because it's technically by the same person, but I always like when like cartoonism and then like realism like mashed together in a story. Yeah. Like I don't know, like it's like I find charm in it in a way.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. Because they seem you can tell that they're outsiders from the valley.
Yeah.
And, they're different.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. It really helps that distinction.
Instead of just like everybody looking like
yeah, Lucius or something.
Before I continue, I will say with Rose, even though it's a prequel, I would not recommend reading that first because it sort of casually spoils part of the comic.
Okay.
Right.
There's also the Bone Handbook. You signed this too.
hey, let's go.
Makes me sign everything.
throughout this, there's also an extra Bone story.
What is the handbook exactly?
It's sort of a guide on the. It's a guide on the comic, and it also has info about its creation.
Okay. Yeah. You just throw out a title.
So we will. I'll admit I haven't yet read this, but I read the Bone.
Right.
The Bone story that was in it. We also got Bone Tall Tales. Which is an anthology thing. Yes. Did he sign this one?
Yes.
You bet he did.
Yay.
And he recently did a sequel.
Oh, really?
More Tall Tales.
Ah. And
Not signed yet.
Get on it, y'all.
But just trying to. I know one of these had More Tall Tales also includes the Coda chapter in color.
Ooh.
And there's also
still more. Okay.
Bone Adventures. Just a bone thing aimed at children.
Oh, okay.
But
Oh my god, Smile looks like a cool teen. When did it all go so wrong?
This as well. This it has.
You know what I realized? Smiley dressed like Aladdin. The vest, the fez.
Anyway, he sorry. This has a story that involves younger versions of the Bone Cousins, and it also includes a previously released children's book called Smiley's Dream Book, which is a counting book.
So
Interesting.
is Phony the same character as a kid?
Kind of.
He's actually Eddie in that.
That look of like, yeah.
He's trying to get enough quarters to buy some Jawbreakers.
Oh god.
There,
It's like no, screw being mayor. I want a jawbreaker.
there's also a novel trilogy called Quest for the Spark, but I haven't read that yet. I don't even
Interesting.
All right. Wow. Future purchases.
Future purchases with future signatures.
Hey, if they won't sign it, we don't buy it. All right. So, anything else you want to say about are any of those any good?
Yes.
Are they all, just here's a book,
Yeah, they're all good.
Okay. All right.
With some of these, he also Jeff Smith also collaborated with Tom Snegoski. I'm probably butchering that.
Yeah.
Probably
are butchering.
It's like Jeff Smith trusted him enough with his world to let him write some of
he
this
wrote
stuff.
it. Okay. So,
Yeah.
So Jeff Smith writes and draws it just so for the most part, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Just make sure everybody knows that. Okay. Anything else you'd recommend besides?
The anthologies also bring in More Tall Tales also brings in other artists. One of them is Stan Sakai.
He gets around. He's worked on other things.
Yes.
All right.
Anything else about Bone?
Read it.
Yes.
Read it.
I would.
Required reading.
I would highly definitely recommend Bone.
Do
Yeah.
you have anything else you want to say out besides read it, Rachel?
It's good.
Okay.
I would definitely read more.
All right. Yeah, it's I'm still reading it, so
Yeah.
I don't know what book I'm in, 8 or 9.
You gotta let us know what you think when you're all done.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll all be just sitting on your edge of your seat waiting. Anyway.
Or something. To quote Matt Groening, I love Bone. Bone is great.
Okay.
I would also recommend the documentary.
Right, that was
I gotta watch that.
The Cartoonist.
Yes.
So I don't know if it's streaming somewhere or not. So.
Could be on YouTube.
Yeah, a lot of stuff could be there. All right. So, do we want to pick the next book now, or do we want to?
Ooh. Whose turn is it?
It's Julia's turn. She has 2 ideas.
Ooh.
I think one just because a
You
friend of
said
mine
2
gifted.
earlier.
I'm thinking about it. I just thought about it now because a friend of mine actually gifted this to me during Christmas. Hold up, let me take it out right now.
Right.
And I hear also here it's pretty popular right now too, in terms of it being adapted. It got adapted into an anime. This one here, The Apothecary.
Ah, I'm watching that.
I can't headphone right now. Yeah.
Dom
So,
and I
like-
are both watching that. We love it.
Yeah, it's like preface. Girl gets taken to like a palace, like against her will, and she works there now.
Right.
And she ends up.
It's a house MD in feudal China.
Yeah.
Right.
House MD. Okay. So, I guess you'll let Jen know that's the book we've chosen.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. I will message her when she is not dying.
Yeah. Hopefully she feels better soon.
But yeah, like I got this book for like as a gift recently, so I'm just like, something new for all of us.
Oh, except for Rachel, apparently she.
Dang it, Rachel.
So, as much as I know the story, I'll probably have fun reading it.
Okay.
Worry about sign up. Unless you had something to say. If you made it this far, type Moby Dick.
I'm like, oh, poor fool. I'll let him talk to me about movies. He cannot sleep, I promise.
Yeah.
All right. So if you like this and you're on YouTube, leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and leave a comment below if you have an opinion about Bone or any of its expanded universe material.
All right. So until next time, I'm David Hankins.
I'm Paul Hankins. I'm Trevor Hankins.
I'm Julia Canon.
And I'm Rachel Wells.
And you've been on the air with Power Squared.
Bye.